Hello and welcome to this edition of Council Corner, your news and information show about members of Richland County Council. Joining me today is Councilman Norman Jackson, the representative of Council District 11. How are you, Councilman?
I'm doing good.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Seems like a lot of great things are happening in Council District 11. Tell us kind of about the neighborhoods and the area, because you represent areas along Garner's Ferry Road. You have the high school there. Tell us a little bit about the community.
That's right. My district runs from behind the VA Hospital, Garner's Ferry Road and Leesburg Road all the way to 601. And the railroad track is the dividing line. So it's very large geographically. And as each council district, you know, there's been redistricting, and each district will have approximately 34,000 citizens in each district. District 11 has grown by approximately 5,000, and during the redistricting process, District 11 didn't have to change too much. We met the goal of the guidelines for redistricting.
And in addition to the businesses and also the residential, I think, don't you represent portions of Fort Jackson and maybe McIntyre or McIntyre? Yeah,
McIntyre, Eargard is in my district, totally.
Okay.
And part of Fort Jackson along the borders is also in my district. McCready Training Center is in District 11 also.
And as you say, over the last 10 years, you've grown by several thousand.
Approximately 5,000, just over 5,000 citizens have moved in the area.
And with growth comes pressures on the schools as well as also on roads. And I know that that you're very concerned about making sure that that the road network can actually accommodate all of the citizens within your district, but also the new folks that are coming in.
Yeah, well, I'm a transportation planner, and I'm a planner also. And Leesburg Road and Garner's Ferry Road operates at a level of service F as a failure, because of the growth and the volume of traffic in that area. The Department of Transportation is getting some funds to really expand, widen Leesburg Road and Garner's Ferry Road. But the Congress is, with the transportation bill, hasn't passed anything yet, so it may be a while before we see any improvement. At the same time, Shopwood extension has been designed to expand into Hopkins to alleviate some of the traffic. So if I can get Shopwood Extension expanded and reopen Wildcat Road, which goes through Fort Jackson to I-20, that would be great.
You know what's amazing is I've been living here for maybe a decade, and I travel Garner's Ferry often when I come to some of your community meetings and things like that, and it is unbelievable. I don't believe that the Walmart and some of the other stores were there, and the traffic just seems incredible. I knew that at one point you knew the traffic counts daily.
Yes.
It is the Garner's Ferry in particular. It was constructed to hold how many cars per day?
It was designed approximately 33,000 vehicles per day, but we are handling about 55,000 vehicles per day now.
Well, that's very interesting. And then also dirt roads. You have dirt roads in your community.
Yes.
What are the challenges with regard to managing that issue?
Well, it's a real challenge. After a while, dirt roads, because it's just basically dirt, it wears down, and even though you may have grading, it doesn't really help. The rain and the wear and tear in those dirt roads, you have potholes or mud holes, and then emergency vehicles can't travel safely. If we have situations we need an ambulance or a fire engine, you can't get back there, or even police services. So we have to develop a plan to really start paving these dirt roads. I introduced a measure to do alternative surface treatment about 3 years ago, and we're just starting to really use some of those funds to pave some of those dirt roads.
And I think the public probably doesn't understand that their tax dollars doesn't go towards actually the construction of roads, but it's federal C funds, and we don't get a tremendous amount of federal money.
C funds. The problem is what we're having now is South Carolina has not raised our gasoline tax in over 17 years. We pay one of the lowest gasoline tax in the country. We pay 16 cents per gallon for the state gasoline tax. And if we do not raise that tax, the problem is we will not have enough funds to pave our roads and repair our bridges. And some of our bridges are at failure, and we need to have funds to do it. So our state legislators have to consider raising the gasoline tax also to fix these roads.
Now, in addition to your area, which has some urban and some a lot of rural, I know that you're very interested in making sure that economic development comes to your region, and that there's opportunity. Tell us a little bit about that. I know that there have been master plans and.
Well, first, to have economic development, you have to have the infrastructure, and infrastructure is like water and sewer, mainly first, then the roads to have it. The infrastructure really stops at Lower Richland Boulevard, and I go all the way down to 601. So we have to develop the type of infrastructure necessary, and there are plans now to do a sewer system there and to bring water to the area so we can have city water and the sewer system and the different drainage structures to really help bring economic development. Most companies or factories or businesses that moves to an area has to have the main infrastructure to relocate there. So a lot of people may say, well, they want economic development. The first thing is the infrastructure.
Now, I know that in addition to roads, when you're talking about transportation, you were very much on the forefront of educating your folks and making them aware of the CMRTA and the issues with regard to mass transit. How do you see that impacting County Council, your district, and how we move forward in the coming year?
Well, with mass transit, the CMRTA board, I think they have to come up with their plans to really how they'll support the areas and get support from the areas also with the bus service. I've been living in Lower Richland for 34 years, and you have a bus that comes twice in the morning and twice in the afternoon 34 years ago and still doing the same thing. So until the CMRTA and members of that board make improvement to the routes and encourage people more to take the bus, you may not see any major improvement in the bus system. I'd like to see it improve. We need the bus. Every major city needs a bus. So we have to plan, and they have to get on board to really support in the communities to encourage them to take the bus.
What do you see as some of the other issues that you all will be tackling as the policymakers for the council in the coming year? I'm sure the budget and financial concerns.
Well, the budget will be coming up. Most people do not want taxes to be raised, and we have done a good job in not raising taxes. However, as the economy grows and as there's a demand and service, eventually we will have to raise taxes. Some people may try to ignore it, what's necessary, what will have to happen. But we have been good stewards of the people's money and managing the business of the county to make sure we do not raise taxes. So Richland County is sound financially, and there's small chances that we'll have to raise taxes, but we have been doing a good job managing it. So there's a lot of things to come. We're talking about, again, maybe another penny sales tax. I've introduced a motion just today to switch it from a transportation sales tax to a project improvement tax.
And what would that do? What would a project improvement tax do?
A priority improvement tax would be, you can address structures, buildings, schools, different type of infrastructure, not just roads and sidewalks. The transportation tax is only for transportation.
So it's a singular focus, but with what you're
proposing, the priority investment tax can support all different things, and each municipalities, each incorporated area and Richland County would play a part in the priorities they need for their areas. The colleges, the universities, and the schools also will have a say in what goes in that penny sales tax. It's for 7 years, renewable by the citizens, to extend it for an additional 7 years.
And you would see action within that 7 years?
You'll see action, and if the citizens do not see any progress, they'll have the right not to support it again. There's an example in Orangeburg County where they did a penny sales tax for capital improvement, and the citizens saw so many improvement that they endorsed it another 7 years. So this, compared to the transportation tax for 25 years, this is 7 years. And if you want to see it go forward, you would put all the necessary work into it to make sure the people see some results and support it.
The council voted the previous fiscal year to establish an Office of Economic Development. Why did you think that that was important?
Well, if you're seeing what's going on in the Midlands, a lot of businesses are going to Lexington also. And to bring businesses to Richland County, we have to make sure we are competitive enough with surrounding counties, surrounding municipalities also, to bring economic development to Richland County. And we have to have someone in charge who can go forward, review their practices, their policies, so we can be competitive. And I think that was a good move we decided to make. You've seen businesses going to, a lot of business going to Lexington, business leaving Richland County, leaving Columbia, going to Lexington. Nothing against Lexington, but when you're responsible for Richland County, you have to do what's necessary to bring economic development to your area also.
Now, we know that you used to be on the Richland County Planning Commission prior to becoming a council member. And what's your perspective on growth and development and how you balance the needs of growth but also protecting the environment? What's your philosophy on that?
Well, first is the citizens' need. Everything comes from the people down. Not council down to the people, but the people to council. And when you do these community meetings to get ideas of the citizens' needs and their desire, then you develop these comprehensive plans based on their needs. So in Lower Richland, for example, some parts want to keep the rural character of the area. How do we do that? Most developers, to make a quick buck, they'd like to jam 8 to 10 houses per acre. The Lower Richland community decided that they do not want to become another Northeast. So they'd like to see maybe 2 houses per acre to keep that rural character. So we have to develop plans for different areas to address the demographics, the citizens' concern, their culture for different areas. All areas should not look the same. And that's the difference in developing a comprehensive land use plan. You have to respect the desire of the citizens of each area.
All right, we're going to stop talking about the serious stuff. And I always like to ask this portion of Council Corner, I like to ask the council members to let their constituents and the citizens of Richland County know something about them that they didn't necessarily know. And I'm going to kind of prod you. I kind of, a little birdie told me that you actually were a very good runner.
Yes, back in the days, I used to run track. I ran the 400 meters. I was on the Olympic squad for the 1976 Olympics.
The U.S. Olympic squad?
No, back then I was in Jamaica.
Really? You're Jamaican? I thought you were from Charleston.
You know what? Everyone thinks I even thought it sometimes, that I'm from Charleston. But there's a relationship between Charleston and Jamaica also. I'm just teasing. I understand.
But you were on the Olympic team.
I was on the Olympic squad.
Olympic
for
squad.
the Montreal Olympics since 1976.
Wow.
The night before the trial, I broke my neck in a car accident. A drunk driver crashed into the car, and I was no longer a world-class athlete. So I became depressed, and I came here, and I didn't look back.
Yeah, but you didn't disappear. I mean, your name's on the billboards and things like that. And you know what? It was a great move. You met the love of your life, your wife. You have an extraordinary child. So it's been a good life, right? Yes,
it's been a good life. I came from a political family, so it's been in me. I grew up visiting world leaders in the government in Jamaica and the British colonies, the British government, and I was very fortunate.
Well, thank you so much for coming and appearing on this edition of Council Corner.
Thanks for inviting me.
All right, for Councilman Norman Jackson of Council District 11, I'm Stephanie Snowden, and that's going to do it for this edition of Council Corner. For more information about Richland County services and programs, you can visit our website at rcgov.us, and also you can listen to us on the radio at Richland Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. every Friday on WGCV AM 620. That's going to do it.